Flight Boss, bitch, you know, for sure. You're now listening to the Mind Evident Terry Smooth, Flight Boss, the Archangel Uriel, and I'm here to carry out God duties and motherfucker responsibilities. And right now, yeah, I'm really carrying out responsibilities because right now I'm finna eradicate all this goofy shit about how motherfucking mankind got here. Now, everybody has a misunderstanding because of the things that they are indoctrinated in. Where it's like very simple. We see this shit happening every day. Now, but our understanding, our perspectives is wrong. So right here, I'm just going to make it very clear so we can understand how mankind got here. Now, how did mankind get here? Now, this is what you need to understand. First and foremost, you are a spirit. A shapeless, formless, odorless, non-flammable, I don't even want to call it gas for this, smokeless flame. You know what I'm saying? You are a frequency that became an individual, which became a soul. So a soul is nothing but an individual spirit. So once we get that out the way, you need to understand when you're using language and using words like in reality, you need to understand you're saying you're in reality. So you are really not a part of reality. Who you genuinely are is always in the realm of reality of the overall. So what you really need to understand is this is something you're using. This is something you're in. Something you're making yourself a part of. Something you can utilize. So this in the physical realm, once we go frequency vibration, once we get to the energy, this when we get to non-physical and physical. And these are the bodies that you can take as far as gases, light forms, sounds, particles, waves, colors. And you can become these things, and the more you experience these things, the more it become heavy as it experience, and it can become into density and into certain realms of realities and certain dimensions. But these are all bodies that we can take. But as spirits, we have to actually utilize these bodies to learn how to sustain ourselves within these astral travels. So now that we get this out the way, where did mankind come from? This is what you need to understand also. When we speak of things like mankind, look at it like it's a form of time. It's a time. So as far as our spirits, we traveled here as a whole, based upon our certain perspective, based upon how we're traveling. Like for an example, if you're in an auditorium at school or at job or something like that, y'all are all in the auditorium, but all y'all got your own perception of the auditorium because you may be in this seat, somebody else is in that seat. So look at it like that. Everybody have their own individual seat in the overall auditorium. So that's like, look at the auditorium as spirits. We're all listening to the same thing. So we're all on the same travel. We're all on the same page, but we're all got our own perception of what we're listening to. AKA, we're all souls, spiritual souls. You see what I'm saying? So just look at it like you're in an auditorium full of people and we're listening to something. What we're listening to, that's the spirit, that's our travel. Now, our individual outlook of what we're listening to is how we become a soul. You know what I'm saying? Our outlook, how we resonate with it. So that's like your individual seat in that auditorium. You see what I'm saying? Now, as spiritual souls, now we come from the age of man. Don't look at man as body and form. Look at it as time. In this time that our spirit traveled through, right? In this time in the astral realm, it was certain stars and certain things that was there that preceded us, that was before us, that was in harmony, that was resonating with each other, that created shapes and forms and sounds to be able to be manifested in what you call as this form as man. But this form, what we calling right now, is truly not it. It's just a time frame. Same way you look at it like we was in the age of Pisces, age of Aquarius, on a spiritual level, on a higher being, because I was in all levels, I was in all dimensions. We looked at it like that. We're right now, the reason why you look like this because you're traveling in the age of man. You see what I'm saying? Now, it's just a time reference. And it's just a certain constellation that's way bigger than whatever constellation you're looking at once you reach that level. That's in a certain aspect that shape out like this. But that's another video. Now, for the most part, us traveling here as spirits, right? Now, the first couple bodies that we take based upon our spiritual resonation and how our individual outlook on these things, right? We would take the first forms of bodies, which would be like what y'all want to call as particles or bacteria or gases or nebulas, you know what I'm saying, in space and things of that nature. So we would take these forms of bodies first. Now, once we learn how to sustain ourselves with these bodies, we would die, aka live, aka transform, and learn how to have a more equipped body around our spirit. So now we're creating a form, lights and bodies for us to inhabit. So the more we bring that down, we get enticed by certain more experiences and resonations and things that's like natural selection and shit that we end up correlating to. Then that correlates our travel. If you want to know how to travel in the yin realm, go to my videos. Now, once we reached Earth, right? We scatter across the waters. Now, we all initially start off as certain things that scatter across the water from these gases from space. Now, Earth was here, it preceded us. It already did this process a whole bunch of times before us. Now, once we then took so many forms of bacterial bodies, we became heavy enough to travel and come down here. Now, we came here and spread it out all through the waters as a whole collective conscious. So this is why you got different humans, different kind of humans. But we're going to get to that. And we got the same DNA structure because we come here with the same form of information as far as our spiritual travel, right? Then the form of gases and things and bacteria that we took was kind of the same. But once we got here, as we start developing as far as where we landed at, as far as what water. So this is how you got humans correlating in all different land masses, or in all different geographical locations. You see what I'm saying? So it's not a such thing as all beings derived from one location. No, we all started in all the waters. Now, we know water spread out all throughout the earth. So this is why you have certain bacteria, forms of us, spiritual beings, bodies that we have took, certain bacteria and lights, spread it across that geographical location, the Africa location, the Asian location, all these locations, right? So the bodies that we're developing going to be slightly different based upon the actual rotation that was here, that preceded us, aka the earth and the sun that was rotating here and there, and how is light on this part of the world longer than this part of the world. So you see what I'm saying? So we started developing in the water first. So we became all the kind of species in the water, right? The first form of bacteria, once we already eradicated that body and we had learned how to do with that body, we took another form, created another body that could sustain more of this realm of reality, so we could perceive more of this realm of reality that we are in, that we are creating for ourselves. So now we became bigger organs and shit in the water. Then we became something like fish, right? Then we got extinct and then came and developed into something else. Then we developed into something else all the way until we evolutionized out of the motherfucking water, and then us as a spiritual group that came here, we became the highest evolutionary beings here, because we was here before a lot of other beings. Now, we wasn't the only ones that came here. You know that. This is why we got a lot of other species. A lot of other species came here after us. So they're starting their process over. They're just starting their process. So a lot of fish, or a lot of early, or a lot of bottom of the sea beings that you see now, they're just now starting their shit, right? So a lot of these fish and shit that you see in the water, thousands and thousands of years from now, they're going to evolve into these type of shells. So the vessel that you are right now, somebody else is going to be able to take this vessel. Other spirits, young spirits that's developing as fish right now. And then land animals. And then the highest land animal, which is us. We developed the biggest brain you could develop here. Then after this, we go on to something else. Now these vessels go back into the earth, just like seeds, just like plants and everything. So when this body flesh deteriorate in the casket, or if you get cremated or whatever like that, that turn into gas, right? And it turns into the almost the non-physical, but it's still the energy realm. This is the energy, and it takes another energy, can't be destroyed, it can only be reciprocated. So it takes another shape and form. So that other shape and form is going to be inhabited by another spiritual being that was here after you came. So you're a human now, so you're going to leave this one. So when this transform and be able and look like whatever it looked like to sustain this realm of reality, and however humans look like thousands of years from now, a lot of those spiritual beings that's in the body that you in right now, that you think you look like in this body, a lot of beings going to be using this body is going to be beings that was fish, beings that was monkeys. You see what I'm saying? it duplicate. But it's different species. I ain't mean to correlate with fish and monkeys. It's Pacific species. Our Pacific species was a Pacific thing in the water first. We learn how to, and then we start playing out the energies, how energies come together. So that's what made us, what y'all think is sex and shit like that. But that's nothing but harmonious friction that we're doing with each other to reproduce. You know what I'm saying? We're just creating more bodies for ourselves. Now, once we died off as that species, we became another species, and we're this now. It's not like we was monkeys and then we became gorillas and that. No, we was our own species that then died off and we then transformed into something else. Now, our offsprings from our DNA and spectrums of the previous existence of our bodies transformed. Right? Energy can't be destroyed. The physical body transformed, and it may look something like us. So it may not be a monkey this time. It may be a gorilla, but that same is different. So the same spirit is able to take that body now. You see what I'm saying? Same way when you die transformed, the human is the highest consciousness here. Once this body dies transformed, we're going somewhere else. The previous evolution that's trying to sustain themselves will be able to take this body. Now, I may not look exactly like you and me, but it is you and me. That dust, that same dust that went into the earth, transformed from the sun and the moon and all this shit, and took another shape and form. To a certain degree, it is going to look just like us. This is a different evolved version. But the people, the spirits that's going to take those bodies is the spirits, the young spirits that's here now, that came here after us. They're still developing. You got a group of spirits that's out the water now. You got a group of spirits that you got a group of spirits that's just now taking the bodies and the bacteria and the lights and the shades and the sounds that's very new here, that we ain't even discovered yet. We probably can't see them or nothing like that. And they probably at the bottom of the ocean. But we see the more life develops in the water, this life comes to the top of the ocean. This is the life that's closest to evolving out of the water. You see what I'm saying? Then they're going to take something else. They may take a representation that looks something like a snake, dragon-like or something like that. But it ain't specifically a snake. See, that's where scientists get it wrong. It's just another transformation of the same things. So that snake that then died off and been able to evolve, the body and the tissue then went back into the earth, reproduced, transformed, and then it was able to be inhabited by another spirit that had enough information to utilize that as a body and come into this realm of reality. So you see, it doesn't take long to explain something that's simple. That's how we came here as humans. And that's how you're supposed to look at evolution and creation. People got it all mixed up because of the words. You see what I'm saying? You're looking at evolution wrong. We're not specifically these things becoming something else. We was our own thing. And based upon our relation, new things came out of that. Now, other spirits going to be able to take those bodies with those informations. Right now, you being a human, you're the highest conscious level of the being that can be inhabited in this vessel. So now you're going to have to be born into another realm of reality. Now, everything you've been doing now was gaining information through your experiences, the people, places, and things that you know in this reality and how you perceive this reality and shell with your spirit utilizing this. See, your spirit is utilizing this world from an outer world. They're not the same world. The spirit world is utilizing this world. Now, you're gaining information and utilizing this body. You have to know that. So it's not like something you're in or something you're out. It's something you're using. You see what I'm saying? Same way in the fourth dimension, from a third dimension perspective, you're using a character when you're playing a video game. But you're doing that from a higher perspective, a higher being body, and you have to know this logically. I don't understand why y'all don't understand this. So spiritually, this is what you're doing with this. Now, spiritually, we didn't receive the maximum amount of information we could perceive just because you got this kind of brain in this vessel and you're experiencing being in the realm of reality of being in this vessel here now. So, because you know you could train a pet, but a pet can't train you. You see what I'm saying? So all this talk about animals are smarter than humans and this, that, and the third, that don't make no sense. You see what I'm saying? We learned from the animals, but we always understood our conscious level, even when we was cavemen and women. So don't let no retarded ass teacher tell you that type of shit, because it's a fact that we can train an animal. An animal can't train no human. I don't give a fuck about how you feel about what an animal could do that a man can't do or a woman can't do. It's facts in the pudding that an animal can't train a human, but a human can train an animal. So the vessel that you took, you've been building that before that species was here. This is what you have to understand. So when we look at back in the times like, oh, we have to learn from the animals and shit like that. No, we was the first animals. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, it's simple. Now, as far as the vessels and shit that we take, ooh, let me not overexhaust myself. But you know, as far as the take that shit. As far as the vessels that we take, right, that we are inhabiting, now what we have been learning now, based upon our experiences in this brain that we have built for ourselves, right? We done learned the maximum. The way we have been learning is by learning about the planets, the stars, the space, about our physical truth as far as history, lineage, and time. That's the energy truth. Then our vibrational truth, our soul truth, resonation, our experience, what we resonate with, and what we think is true or not true. Then our spiritual truth, which is myth, mythology, what can be conceived as ideas. But see, here's the key. Myth, people think in the physical realm, they tie the physical realm, the energy realm, to the spirit because they're lost in the physical. So they try to say, oh, it can't be proven or this, that, and the third. See, it's not spiritual truth is not about that. Spiritual truth is just about where things came from. So these concepts is truly real because we know what's spoken with the word can become physical. And this is how you got here. This is how your spirit was born, from a higher being before the energy realm. You see what I'm saying? See, it's a frequency, vibration, energy. So with this world, this is what you have to understand. When you're talking about the frequency and the spirit, they get lost in the physical and say you can't prove myth. It ain't about that. So once you understand spiritual truth, it's about who got the highest idea. Who frequency vibrating the highest to the point that when you meditate or when you're receiving ideas, you're catching ideas from the highest beings, the highest frequencies. So whether it can be proven or not, it's going to make the most sense, or it's going to be the most idealist, then it's going to trickle down, get shitted out, and filter through the soul, then it's going to be the most resonated, the most people going to resonate with the shit, then it's going to trickle out and be figured out through the physical. People going to start finding the history, start finding the time, start seeing the actual stars of it, start creating telescopes that actually see the stars that we didn't see before. See, anytime we experience something new in the physical realm, it's because our conscious level is traveling somewhere new. So we developed the information to be able to perceive it. So when it gets trickled down to the physical realm, we perceive it in ways that's dealing with like technology or telescopes or cameras or things that make us understand things better as far as history and time, or we end up finding something new, or AKA like this video, we end up finding something we ain't know was at the bottom of the sea. Now we found something new, or a new bacteria or something like that. So you see what I'm saying? Don't let nobody who's lost in their doctrinations try to confuse you on how man got here. You got the ancient Kemetic motherfuckers. You got a lot of teachers on the internet who think they know what's going on. You got a lot of scientists who think they had discovered something. You got the God particles and shit like that, where it's in your face every day. You swipe your mind. Look, I encourage everybody to do this, because this is what I do. You have to psych your mind. You have to get out of patterns and rotations, because that's a form of hell. So even though you're in one, the better you know how to jump rope and take yourself out of it and have an imagination, the better your life will be. So this is an advice. Every day, I take it to an extreme, but you can start little with your job or your everyday life. Even if you gotta wake up and be like, who the fuck am I next to? Every day, I don't care if you're in a relationship. Wake up and just at least if it's just for a few seconds, and then you can start building that on other stuff, so it can start being more and more, and you can start giving that more time and more experiences throughout your day, so you can start manifesting more new experiences throughout your day. This is how you got to jump on that new experience energy wave. You got to go through that tunnel, and what I mean by that is you got to you create it. So I don't care if you're in a relationship with somebody you knew for 20 years and you know everything about them. You can start off like this. Wake up every morning and look and be like, who the fuck am I next to? Like, really psych your head up like you don't know who that is. Really walk outside and be like, what the fuck is that? Even if you didn't have 20 years of knowing what the sun is, or 50 years of knowing what the sun is and you went to school. It's not about that. See, you have to learn, you have to know you're creating. So if you want to create new experiences in your life, you have to actually do it. But if you want to learn new shit, because that's what I be on. I want to learn new shit. So I got to actually be in that vibration. So I wake up every day and be like, what the fuck is that? And I learn something new about the sun every day. So when I come and teach something about it, right, I could go back to my subconscious realms, my conscious realm, subconscious in my soul, and get out all that memory of everything I knew about it. But see, I don't attach myself to that realm because I ain't coming back here. See, you gotta really know how to work with your spirit. You gotta really know what this shit is. You could be involved in something and not attach yourself to it, but show all the signs of attachment. It's deep. But look, check this out. Right? Now, I won't have, now, I go back in my records, grab up all the memory of what I already know about the sun, and then conflate it and cause friction to what I just learned about the sun. So now, I don't even be receiving new ideas from new people. It's all me. You get it? It's like it's all me because your thoughts is not you. You can go to my videos. Those are those from other people, other beings. Yours is only the one that caused friction. When you receive a thought and you be like, hold on, and then you resonate with it, and then you the idea you create out of it, that becomes your thought. Then that goes into the universe. So anybody vibrating on your frequency or had the same idea as you, they'll be able to receive your thoughts. This is all a channeling, give and receive thing, everything. But everything is expansion, contraction. Everything just come from that. Positive, negative, give and receive and all that shit. But that's another video. But as far as what I'm saying, we all bounce from each other. But I learned, and everybody should know how you could just do this with yourself. And how you do this with yourself is, like I just said, right? Now, I already know the sun, boom. I already know how I emotionally feel, how I'm connected to the sun, or what the memory of the pattern of the sun, but I don't attach myself to it. So when I throw in that little new experience mechanism in my brain every day and train my brain muscle for that so I can experience new shit, I be like, what the fuck is that, right? So then when I learn new shit about the sun, boom, then when I come and do a video or sit and ponder on it, then I go in my feelings about it and you this. See, I don't get indoctrinated. Your spirit, you got to keep your spirit clean on all levels. You know what I'm saying? It ain't about indulging. It's about how you indulge. It ain't about what you doing, it's how you do it. It don't matter what it is. See what I'm saying? So boom, then I pull out everything I know about the sun and then conflate it and ponder and bounce off what I just learned, aka that's all me. You see what I'm saying? That's all me right there. I ain't received that because I did it myself. I psyched my own brain to act like I ain't know what that was, to learn something new. Then I already knew in my own brain where the memory baggage was of everything I already knew about the sun. So boom, I'm bouncing off that's the hard ass, nigga, we got the hard ass fucking science. We got the hardest science, period. Now, let all these motherfuckers know, nigga, Flight Bus is back, man. I'm stop getting motherfucking sick and all that shit because this shit need to be put the fuck out here. Some real shit. We really on our spiritual motherfucking paths. But I'm gonna end this fucking video so we can get to some other segments and shit. But that's how mankind got here. I just wanted to throw that pointer out there. You know what I'm saying? This is really teaching. So we can learn our spirit. Not that somebody trying to tell you what they think reality is, and since you don't agree with them, it's a fucking circus. No. This is how, see, a lot of people don't even need no motherfucking cameras. This is what